Welcome to Allegedly Higher, where humor, insight, and passion collide with higher education. Hosted by Dr. Erin and Dr. Candice. Join them as they dive into headlines, interview leaders, and challenge norms. From dismantling systems to championing equity, this podcast is your go-to for transforming the ivory tower. Let's get into it.
Welcome, y'all, to Allegedly Higher, the podcast where we dissect issues in higher education through a human-centered lens and with a pop culture flair. I am your host, Dr. Erin, and this is my trusty sidekick. just for this.
She's going to keep me alive today.
Dr. Candice Jackson, how are you?
I'm doing well.
We know it's been a minute. We trying to get this thing on, but the bigger lesson here, we're gonna say it every episode. Just keep going. Just keep going.
I mean, that's all you really can do.
Yeah.
Right? And I think life has been lifing for a lot of people, and not. But that's the thing. That's what keeps us going, to be resilient and to put one foot in front of the other.
Yep.
And we get it done.
Yep. So you're firmly in higher ed.
Yes, I am firmly in higher ed.
We walking right up to midterms. How is it going?
Listen, I have, I am in a unique position because I do have more major classes. So I'm engaging a lot more with our majors in my department. And so I don't anticipate really having any problems. But my colleagues that I know,
colleagues are having an issue.
They are. It's a struggle, I think, because there's a level of deficiency there that you have to fix, not only in the academic space, but also in the social cues and socialization, because students are disconnected from the world, as connected as they are, and they really don't know how to do this college thing. They really don't. Like come to class, or when you get there, take out the paper and the pencil and engage, because they're so used to, if I go to class and I'm quiet, I'll pass anyway. Like that's not how any of this works, sir. So, or ma'am. So it's been a struggle for some of my colleagues,
Yeah.
And I do feel bad, but I'm going to rejoice in my majors. Now when after midterms and I have to grade the exams to see if they were really reading, then I'll come back and give you an update.
Yeah, besides this podcast, I am working on making some sort of a comeback to higher education.
Yes. Higher ed needs you.
Temporarily, very quickly, in and out, workshops.
Right.
Look, Kevin Hart, by myself.
I love it.
In and out, workshops, selling some books. You can have me for a whole day, but I got to go out.
Right.
W9s, not W2s.
I fully understand.
I cannot do it. But in all seriousness, I am figuring out what I want to come back with, because I have gained some hands-on experience working alongside of higher education, but in nonprofit sector.
Right.
And my first books, Go Wiser and Live Wiser, were all for that first gen minority population of all the wisdom and advice and research that I've learned. Yeah. But in this comeback season, I'm trying to figure out my platform and how I want to talk about preparing first gen students, and either from the access side or the success side. Thinking about all the things that we've done in the scope of work to transform culture of how we support students, it's just been, I think about, I'm like, we're missing several pieces, but we keep doing the same thing year after year and looking for it. And it comes a time we have to stop and say, this isn't working. But there's so many low-hanging fruit that we're missing that to prepare students, not because they're like academically unprepared, is because they're mentally, social, emotional, even the smartest students unprepared because it's a brand new thing. And so if we're able to be a teaching and learning institution, we don't have the patience to actually teach them what they need to know to be successful. We want them to come pre-programmed. And my question is, who pre-programs them?
Here's what I
K through 12 can't pre-program them for higher education. You know what I'm saying? It's such a big disconnect. So that's kind of where I am in figuring out.
What I think students are more the student who knows that they do not know everything and is really willing to try to figure it out, who has tried, if we're teaching our students, our children, to be kind, to be humane, to be empathetic, and then to desire knowledge. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know everything. I mean, even a med school will tell you that you don't necessarily have to major in biology. No. We'll teach you everything when you get here. We want you to have some prereqs. We want you to have a working knowledge, right? But they want you to be able to think and process and all of those things. And I think that's when we're talking about unpreparedness. I don't think it necessarily, when you walk into composition 1, that we expect you to already know how to write a full college level essay, because if that's the case, then you wouldn't be in this room. But what I do expect you to want is to learn how to write a college level essay. Yeah. And if we get to that point, then I think that's half the battle. That's half the battle.
Yeah. So, well, we can talk about that all day.
I know, right?
But we need to go outside for a little bit.
Gotta go outside. All right.
Yes. Go outside a little bit and talk about pop culture.
Yes. My favorite
segment. There's a lot of things. There's so many things. Sometimes it's like dead weeks, and sometimes it's not. If we can only record when we do have time while Dr. Jackson's driving to and fro.
Right, from this meeting to this meeting to this.
And while I'm at home being Susie homemaker for myself, making my energy bars and homemade granola, we talk. We just don't have time to be in front of the computer and record a podcast episode.
Right.
But
maybe the new thing that we just recorded in the car, and keep it
that will be. We definitely will have to have some editing done.
Yeah.
Definitely have to add it. One thing that had me laughing, I was like, this is old, but it was so funny to me. Dame Dash versus his teeth versus 50 Cent. And we could, at this point, we could probably put versus 50 Cent. Because there's a lot of versus 50 Cent. Puff Daddy versus 50 Cent. Hurricane Chris versus 50 Cent. Who else you want?
Let me tell you something. It's 50 Cent versus everybody. The question is, why do you engage? Do you think that you're going to be the one that topple? Like, you're not going to out pity 50 Cent. You are not about to out pity, out tweet, out IG, out anything 50. It ain't gonna happen.
And at least for this side of the screen, I have loved 50 Cent since Get Rich or Die Trying the album. That was, between him and Kanye, was the soundtrack of my senior year and first year of college. He is the right amount of intelligence, pettiness, and business savvy that I could only hope to become. It's very rare occurrence that I'm gonna take the other person's side.
And now he has more real estate in Shreveport than anyone.
Yes.
So he's a homeboy for you now. I think that's wonderful, building the studio, building that economy. And that also speaks to his business savvy, because he has, to quote the ever popular Bill and Willie Dynamite, he has vision. And so for those of you who don't know Willie Dynamite, please check it out. Blaxploitation forever. But the vision that he has. So when these people come up against, and who's the latest? Who's the latest one? Tell us who's the latest one.
Our favorite line from Bad Boys 2. He did it himself, mama.
He killed himself.
Kill himself, mama. This time he did it himself. Dame Dash. So I feel like I don't know the egg before the chicken. I'm pretty sure because it happened like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So Dame Dash, I feel like he was talking about 50 when his whole grill came out of his mouth. He said grill. But then everybody's like, dude, that's your teeth. We saw white porcelain fall out. So he had to come back and say, yeah, my dentures fell out. But this is the right. I was like, can you give 50 any more ammunition? And next thing I know, 50 would be like, some people just don't know when to stop. Yeah, so Dame Dash was challenging 50 Cent to a CEO war. Why? He worth millions, almost billions, but he don't care about billions.
They're auctioning stuff off for you to pay bills. Like, sir,
you already lost.
Sir, shut it down.
You already lost. You lost. Done.
You didn't even get implants, sir. You've got dentures.
Yes.
You didn't get implants. If you don't get the implants and you're still putting your teeth in the little thing on the side of the bathroom like my grandmama used to, in the little cup, sir,
at least fix them in.
And you taking them in and out like parlor tricks, sir. No.
So yeah, this is all happening while he's auctioning off stuff to just pay it. And I'm thinking,
but here, let me say this though. This is he's given fodder for a war. You never give 50 any kind of ammunition. But Dame is smart. Dame is a smart businessman. He built up Rockefeller, all of that, but sometimes you're getting in your way. And so he got in his own way.
Yeah.
He got in his own way. And he could be on top right now, but he's not. And I know that's hard to be able to say, I've made some mistakes along the way. It doesn't detract from what he's done.
But you stagnant. You stuck back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I could only imagine if him and Aaliyah would have made it.
Yeah.
What would have been? Would she have made him better? Would he have made her worse? Or would they not even be together for long?
Yeah. But when you got to be able to back it up. You got to be able to back up. And at this point and at this stage, and you're almost 60, sir, either rebuild a new thing, but you can't always, and I think that's where we are. I think that's 50 is building these new things, at one point having almost 4 shows on the air, or having 4 shows on the air at the same time. Mm-hmm. Building a studio. And then here's what's beautiful about that regardless of how you feel about Tyler Perry, that 50 Cent sought wise counsel because Tyler had built a studio. And so it shows an element of not even collaboration, but mutual respect, that these two men said, hey, it's enough to go around. There are enough stories to tell. And so Dame was doing this in the 90s, early 2000s. And at some point, it didn't go any further. You're not going to battle. You're not going to battle fit it. You just
no.
some implants.
Yeah.
Just go get you some implants.
Real quickly, Cardi B had her third baby.
Okay, so is the baby and I know she had a pregnancy scare before, and I'm so glad that the baby was born healthy and
yeah, that was scary. I've never heard of what happened to her. Yeah, she said she was almost paralyzed. I'm not sure what happened, but she was glad her dad, I think, was there to help her through it. But yeah, still divorced, we think.
But she filed like 3 weeks before that baby was due.
Yeah, but she did that before.
Yeah, so
the last
a new baby, even if you're angry in the moment, like a new baby always brings new promises and rebirth. So we shall see. I don't think anybody's taking this divorce filing seriously until they see her out with somebody new. Like until we see you with somebody new, baby.
And Offset, they try to put him with everybody. I'm single. I ain't with nobody. And then
Offset gonna be trying to get his wife back for real. Like, I mean, y'all clearly still like each other.
Yeah.
So, blessings to you on the new arrival and your renewal of vow ceremony that will probably come up in the next 6 months.
I just want another album.
Yeah.
Every time she drops a new one, she drops a new baby. So, she dropped the album before she had the first baby, and then the second baby came and no album, and then now the third baby. She says she working. I'm part of her IG, the IG mass message feature, and she was like, "I'm in the gym."
Already in the gym, baby, 3 weeks old. Here's the thing. Sometimes though, I'd have to wonder if it's all by design.
Yeah, I think there's some confidence. She's very scared of the sophomore curse.
Yeah, but you got to have a sophomore album to have a sophomore curse, right?
She don't want to have a curse,
right?
If there's no album,
now you're starting to lean. You starting to look a little Lauryn Hillish right now.
Yeah, because she lost music before. She said she had an album and it all erased. All her masters erased from the studio computer.
Whose masters?
Hers.
Cardi B's.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody hit a button and erased it. Okay, all right. Now,
just
I have a little bit of swampland in the Mississippi Delta. Y'all can hang.
Yeah. Well, I love Cardi. I'm a Cardi B person.
I love you too.
I'm a Cardi B fan. She got me through some tough times in that place. Anytime I was blasting Bodak Yellow in my office, my staff didn't know what to do.
Okay, and so that's
like, my one favorite one was Clutching Pearls. Dr. Will. I don't know. I just don't think. And he was trying to dance and not. But he was like, Dr. Will, you should be listening to this.
And then I'd be sitting there singing Go Down Moses. But
Marvin Sapp was probably on in the next one. I didn't know whether I was coming or going at that time. So let me have it.
Good luck to them. Good luck.
Yeah. And this last piece of news is just one big in memoriam.
Yeah.
A lot of people have gone on to glory since our last recording. A lot.
Yeah.
I'll just list them all and we can go through. Erica Ash, the comedian, actress. I loved her from Survivor's Remorse.
Yep.
I felt like she was just on the brink.
Yeah.
I know she was one of the Black girls when they had that whole thing about, I'm about to say Olivia Pope. I can't even remember her last name, real name.
Kerry Washington,
when she had to play Oprah Winfrey. She had to play all the Black celebrities, and when SNL had that bulk hiring of Black people because they was embarrassed, I knew she was up for the role, one of the roles, and I felt like she should have made it, but God knows what's best or whatever. But I feel like she was just on the brink.
Yeah.
DJ Scoop. I don't want to say the best for last, but we're gonna make the most hard hitting for last. DJ Scoop. I didn't know his name, but once I know the voice. He's all New York hip hop voice, like any New York's hip hop song, his voice was on. Any remixes, any of the DJ remixes. Rich Homie Coin. That was just unnecessary.
Yeah. Now that you're absolutely, that's the right word to put it. Unnecessary.
Yeah.
And how many cautionary tales are we gonna have before people get it?
It's always that little voice in your head and say, "Oh, but that's not me. That can't happen to me."
Right.
But it's just like DMX, Michael K. Williams. We all got the same type of body, and the drugs gonna hit the same,
right?
If you keep going. And I still pray for Lil Wayne because I feel like he's not listening either.
Yeah, I mean, Pimp C.
I
would. It's kind of like when I tell my students who plagiarize, right? I say, I'd rather have a bad paper from you than someone else's work. And to them, I would say I would rather have a bad album from you. And then you have a chance to do another good album. Then you not be here and we only have the album you gave us. Like,
no music at all.
No music at all. So I would, if they ever hear this, that's not where you came to the party with. We want you to be you, and you is enough.
Yeah.
You will be enough, so.
Did you see the clip of that was going around the time he passed? It was one of the barbershop podcasts.
Yeah.
When he said because he did go real fast. He's actually on my playlist in 2017 of how I got, it's like summer in that place 2017.
Right.
It was Bodak Yellow. He was on it. And he came up fast. He was like all 3 songs, right? And that's at some point I was like, oh my God, not another mumble rapper. Like I could do it with I could do it, I was over Future at that time. But then it just like you couldn't get it out your head. Right. So he did shoot up at the time, and he said in the clip, he was like, I had roles really fast and things were coming at me fast, and I had these shows and these things to do, and I couldn't stay up. He said a cousin gave him a pill. And I'm not gonna say what I want to say. Well, Molly not made for every type of body and race. Some bodies can handle Molly and live to tell about it, but I don't think.
But ours, certain bodies cannot.
Certain bodies cannot. So he gave him Molly, not coffee. I hate a Red Bull. A Red Bull, I will not buy a Red Bull for nobody. A Red Bull, a Celsius. I know. I'm not buying it. I told you about that.
I'm a Red Bull kind of girly, but okay. But I do get only sugar-free or 0.
So. It's the caffeine.
Yeah, well, sometimes I need the caffeine. But I'm not a big... Okay.
But you're allergic to coffee.
I don't like the bitterness of coffee. I make a mean pot of coffee, but I don't like the bitterness of coffee.
But all of those things, like
Yeah.
anybody. So if I was the cousin who started him on this habit, he didn't have it before he was a rapper.
Right.
He didn't have it before he was famous. And to cope with the added responsibility.
Well, I think that also speaks to when we talk about leadership and we talk about wellness and we're talking about life balance, that instead of scheduling and keeping him up for more shows, what you do is you cut back and let him get some rest.
Yeah.
And let him process and let him.
That's the same thing I was thinking.
So he can be better as a human, for himself and be able to go out there and not schedule, back-to-back shows, and he's on planes and he's in cars and he's got to do this and he's got to stay up. And being an entertainer and a performer and a musician, and you're always on stage, right? Even, for comedians, I studied Black comedy. For comedians to be on stage and to make other people laugh. And sometimes they got to go out there and make people laugh when they're at the lowest points. Yeah. And so they stay up. And so what you have to do is take time and as fans and as enthusiasts and as people who love these people's work, we've got to accept that. We've got to be able to tell them it's okay to take some time off. It's okay to say, I'm exhausted and I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reschedule these shows. I gotta recenter so I can be better for y'all, but I need a moment. I think we have to help them understand that we love them more than we want to overwork them and do all those things. Right.
Usher broke his neck. That's why he canceled. Was it? I don't know if it's the breaker. It was something very serious, and he was still trying to perform this last thing. And we're like, "Sir, we need you."
Right. But I'm glad his team and he made the decision to say, okay, I know y'all want to start, but something has happened, and I know those people pay for hotel rooms. I know those people. I get all of that. But and I know that it's hard to come by, but I'd rather lose that and file a claim of my travelers insurance, and I always get that. Then he go out there in Atlanta and you see somebody crumple on the ground because they've had a neck injury and a spinal injury and they can't do all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got to do better as fans to let them know that that's okay.
Yep. Tell us about the ballerina.
Oh, Michaela the Prince. I mean, 29 years old. They have not released cause of death, but at 29, adopted from Sierra Leone when she was 3, had just sort of taken the ballet world by storm. Beautiful ballerina. Had become second principal with Boston, I believe, and just died unexpectedly. Even sadder was that her mother was going into surgery on Wednesday. Michaela died on Tuesday. They did not tell the mother because she was going into surgery. And then the mother died during, right after surgery. So, and Michaela was a twin. And so her sister now has to bury both her twin and her mom. I mean, this is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Yeah. I mean, we lost in the span of a week and a half, like so many. So it was heartbreaking and to all of these families. But I mean, 29, she hadn't had a chance to live. There's going to be a biopic about her life produced by Madonna, and she won't get a chance to see it, to see that. But so she's forever young at this point.
Yeah. Well, the big guns.
Mm.
I don't even know who to go to first.
Might as well do them in order, child.
I don't even know. Okay. James Earl Jones.
Girl, that one almost took me out.
It's a couple people that I had asked God to bubble wrap. Cicely
Right.
Tyson,
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder, and James Earl Jones.
And Morgan Freeman.
And Morgan Freeman, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's been 100 years old.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. James Earl Jones for me, from Arkabusa, Mississippi. His father as well. For him to become the luminary, the literally the lion on Broadway. To have a Broadway theater named for him. I took a picture by it, the last time I was in New York. It's such a loss. And he could do comedy, he could do drama. He was the voice, he was Darth Vader. I mean, and even to something like they couldn't show that Darth Vader was black, but okay, but you could use the voice. The Great White Hope, where he plays a character loosely based on Jack Johnson and receives an Academy Award nomination. I mean, the loss almost took me out.
Yeah.
But people on the TikTok are undefeated. They have done, and then he's also Mufasa. And we're celebrating 30 years of the Lion King at this point, and they're doing whole funeral programs for Mufasa. Like, who's speaking, all the characters and all the Disney kings, Triton from the Little Mermaid. I mean, but it was such a deep, it's such a deep loss.
Yeah, but I feel better because he lived a long life.
Yeah.
Those accomplishments.
Saw him on Broadway a couple of times. I mean, just amazing, man.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
I can smile and say he's at peace. He's at peace. The younger, the most potential, that's the deaths that I can grieve and try to reason with. Frankie Beverly. Oh, go ahead.
Well, for me, I think it's like a piece of my childhood that keeps going.
Yeah.
Because as I get older, and kind of thinking about my own mortality, kind of even if they are 93, you got another 10 and come on, let's go. You got another 10? No. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So that was James Earl Jones, Frankie Beverly.
Yeah.
Got that news.
Oh.
But as I told my friend group, this man has been saying goodbye to us for like 5 years. I think he was ready.
He I think when we saw him in Indianapolis,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we saw him in Indianapolis, and people were like, "Oh, he doesn't sound." He sounds beautiful. He was beautiful then.
I was just glad to hear him because before that he wasn't performing, so I forgot that we saw him. He had come back.
Yeah, he had come back. Those old school groups that are together for 40 and 50 years. Like the OJs and you got one temp left, but Otis still kicking it at 80 something, and still doing that turn and coming back to the mic. I mean, Frankie you could see the love in what he did, and it was so pure. I think that's why we always saw him in white. Like that was the signature, the purity of the sound and the work that he did. I mean, that New Orleans did a great send off for him. I will say that.
Because I would consider Frankie Beverly a New Orleans person. I don't even know where it came from. I don't know if it's because of all the Jazz Fest and the Essence Fest. I don't know where that came from. He's from Baltimore.
Philly.
Philly. I knew it was East Coast. He might have been born there.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I didn't know the man was from Philly until he left here. Far as I was concerned, I thought Frankie Beverly and Mays was straight up from New Orleans because he shut down Essence Fest before it became the Festival of Culture and all that. Real at the beginning, he shut down Essence Fest for almost 25 years. He was the closing act. As far as I was concerned, Frankie Beverly was from New Orleans.
I don't know, no different. He fit right into the jazz theme, the music scene, House of Blues. I feel like could be his house. Like,
yep.
Yeah. And lastly, Tito Jackson.
Lord have mercy. That one, we weren't prepared for that at all. We were not prepared.
No.
I think it was a heart attack.
And,
so again, that kind of shock. But what I love and hate at the same time is that now people are really acknowledging the fact that if it had not been for Tito, we would not have a Michael, we would not have an Usher, we would not have a Chris Brown, we would not have any of that. If Tito had not been the musician that he was, and that's very key. Like, not in it, he's not entertaining. He was a musician, and just like his father, in that sense, right? Only in that sense, he's a musician, and if he hadn't gone in there and been defined and gotten that guitar and broke that string, none of it would have been possible. He took that first beating for the team. He took it. He took the first beating, and that's what Tito. But Tito was also still on his own. Like I was trying to, he would perform at the House of Blues because he's a musician. He's an excellent, I think I think I streamed his last single.
Yeah. And I see you that article where Kenny Neal, blues singer from Baton Rouge, did a nice article that said Tito felt at home in Baton Rouge, and that was a shock to me. And so in the article, he named that he liked to go to Tony's. If you're from Baton Rouge, you know where Tony's is, and Tony's is not by LSU. It ain't even by Southern. It's on the way, but it's in the black part of Baton Rouge. So he said he liked to go there, and he ate at the IHOP all the time. But even the Tony's owner said he didn't even, like, he just recently found out that Tito Jackson had been in and out of his restaurant over the past couple of decades. So that was heartwarming to hear. But we got to do a better job celebrating people while they're alive.
That's right. Definitely.
So rest in peace. I don't think we missed anybody since then.
No, I think that's enough.
But rest in peace to everybody, and praying comfort for all the families. You always got to see, like, that's when you have somebody famous, you really can't turn on the TV or the radio and try to like escape.
Right.
You're always going to see that loved one. So,
but I think it's also a lesson when you talk about give them their flowers while they're here. Do it in your own families. Call your mamas, call your dads, call your sisters, call your people. Check on your people.
Yeah, that's a bigger lesson.
Yeah, check on your people.
I feel like we need a commercial break, but we don't do commercial breaks yet. If you'd like to be sponsored on this podcast, give us a send us an email at info@allegedlyhire.
Take it. Listen, we need and share. Click, share, honey.
Yes. That's where we're going.
Click, share. But I will give you a little commercial. I'm redrafting the first novel. I'm adding to it and re-editing. Getting a little bit more. And working on book 3. So that's a commercial. Check me out. Check me out.
You gonna tell them where to check you out at?
Oh yeah. Amazon or Barnes & Noble. You can download as ebook, or they'll drop ship it to you.
This is a horrible commercial. What's the title of your book?
Oh, listen, I thought I did that already. Deserving Grace and Finding His Treasure.
This is everything to do with English as it is written, but it has nothing to do with higher ed.
Nothing to do with
don't give it to your grandma.
These are romance suspense novels.
Has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with God's grace.
No, nothing. No, it might be a spiritual moment but it's not that kind of spiritual moment. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
One thing
But please search by the titles of the book and not her
I
name.
had to tell the church, some of my little church ladies, and they said, "Oh, Dr. Jackson's reading the book." So I would tell them, I said, "Hold on. This is romance suspense. This is romance. There are people who are conjoining, and but it's a story. There's a
Come
story
together
there.
in a
There's
good.
a story that's, they're coming together, and they're going out. But yeah, and I love that because I wanted to choose not the literary fiction vein, but the romance vein, because we don't have enough Black love. We don't have enough Black romance authors. There is actually a conference in October I would like to go to. But they're out there. The stories are out there, but we don't really hear about as many of them as we should. Because as Tank said on a podcast, Black violence is not the threat. Love is.
Yeah.
So it's not a protest novel. Everybody can pay the light bill in my novels.
There ain't no struggle.
There's no struggle. This is about love.
They are smart, kind,
and intelligent. And so we want to, that's what I want to do is talk about love and romance stories and a little suspense and a little intrigue. And so, yeah. So check me out, Amazon. C.L. Jackson, Deserving Grace, Finding His Treasure. Okay. That's my commercial.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
All right. So next we have our higher ed news segment, and we got one topic, but it's coming from everywhere. This is going to cover because you don't have time to read Inside Higher Ed or the Chronicle. It's going to cover, well, it's not who's in, who's out, but that'll be a topic for next week.
Mm-hmm.
And what other segment? I'm missing some things, some hot topics. It's all of those segments we usually do for higher ed. It is all one.
All in one.
So
yeah.
We are well past the 13th class day. If you're in enrollment, admissions, or you're in finance, you know what that 13th class day means. And so now we're getting a glimpse of some early enrollment numbers in relation to the affirmative action ban. So this is will always be ongoing, right? But it caught my eye because I kept seeing the stories, I kept seeing it. And then even as I was prepping yesterday, it was an article that anytime I try not to read stuff that'll get my pressure up, but this type of stuff gets my pressure up because it just seems so dumb. We know so much. It just seems so dumb. And so I don't want to be in an echo chamber. So I wanted to read both sides. I see the argument, but the argument leaves out so much. And we'll talk about the argument. But if you are hiding under a rock, or you on purpose or by accident, right? There's the Supreme Court decision to strike down affirmative action, and we are starting to see those college enrollment numbers. So this week, Yale and Harvard reported theirs. And as expected, a little bit of a dip, but it's minor, right? Especially set in the context of the financial aid disaster.
Right.
Like we got a whole lot of fires burning in higher ed right now that we can't tell what's up from down because there's so many variables. But which is good and bad. So Black and Latino enrollment seem to be steady, but Asian representation is dipping, and I giggle not because I'm insensitive. I giggle because the case that was made was because I feel like they were pitting minorities against minorities. The case was built on the fact that Asian Americans feel like they were being discriminated against with affirmative action. So how is that working for you? This is only just a Yale and Harvard. I'll say that. MIT, opposite, which as a science nerd, I am very upset about. So MIT class of 2028, Black and African American enrollment dropped by 8 percentage points.
That's significant.
It was up to 13%, which I would say is fair because we're 13% of the American population, right? Want more, but we'll take what we can get. Asian enrollment increased by 6 percentage points, up from 41%. This is just MIT alone. Yale and Harvard, Black was steady, Asians dropped. Washington University saw 4% drop in Black and African American enrollment. Tufts University saw 3% decline. Yale had no change. And University of Virginia, they didn't see any kind of changes, so they held steady on all accounts. Guess who mad?
Who mad, girl?
Ed Bloom. Ed Bloom, the conservative legal strategist. They be giving people titles. He really just a white man who just got mad because he lost an election in Texas. I wish I could find the article, but it was so funny. They said he lost it back in the early 1900s. This man, he not that old. I was like, y'all are petty. Y'all could have wrote that any other kind of way. So this is where I had to do my digging. I know I had to do my digging a little bit more on him because I really wanted to understand it, and I had a little time. So he's a legal strategist known for his work. So he's also the one who repeatedly pisses me off because he went after the Fearless Fund, a Black investment, angel investment fund. He's the one that went after them that caused their grant to Black women entrepreneurs to cease. And they had to make that deal because they knew it could set off a chain reactions to other things. So they settled on purpose. It hurt them, but they knew it was going to help the overall momentum in fighting this, right? So he started an organization, Students for Fair Admissions, and they found this Asian Americans who were originally suing, and they backed their case, which ultimately impacted affirmative action by the Supreme Court decision to ban it. He was in all sorts of stuff. He's just been in every. He also had his case also had impact, not this case, but cases he had before on taking out key provisions of the Voting Rights Act. Right.
But under the guise of saying, well, it's it's discrimination, it's reverse discrimination. You had Black folk in this country paying taxes without the benefit of having voting rights. We're talking about after emancipation, right? And so all of this time, you don't have the right to vote Black people whole scale federal until 1965. 1965.
That's not long ago. Most people think
no.
My parents were born in 69.
Right. So
59 and 61.
The problem is sometimes when they show those pictures of the civil rights movement, of course, they're in black and white. So it makes you think, oh, that's so long ago. It is not.
Nope.
It is not. My father was born in 1950. My mother in 1949. And my father is 74. With a whole lot of living left to do, right? So for somebody to come in and sort of manipulate language and then appeal to the base nature of people who don't really want equality in the first place, right? for him to then manipulate, because see, that's what it is. It's a manipulation of those defended, those who are bringing suit against affirmative action. And of course, you can't get into Yale because there was a 6 percentage point decline in Yale for admissions for Asian Americans. Now what we gonna do? Now what do you do?
But you bring up a great point. He wrote them letters this week and sent it to their general counsel. You can find these letters online, but this is one taken actually for, I think, each, but I can't remember which letter this was taken from. He wrote letters to, I know, Yale, Duke, and Princeton. I think those are the schools. Don't quote me just yet. Oh yeah, Yale, Princeton, and Duke. Yep, Tuesday, this just happened. This is a quote from one of the letters. Based on our extensive experience, your racial numbers are not possible without substantially increasing socioeconomic preferences and eliminating legacy preferences. Yet you've announced no such changes, and you've reported no substantial increase in number of students receiving Pell Grants. So he's sending these letters out to the schools who either saw no change, either way, but definitely to the schools whose Asian population has dropped. This is what makes me tired. And when Fannie Lou said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, I have not seen as much, but I can only imagine because I'm tired. My thing is that Fearless Fund was a private thing for Black women.
Yeah.
All of y'all's, and I say y'all's, as a white man who's suing, y'all have ample access to angel investors. 0.1% of investment money goes to African Americans, probably even less to women.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't hurt. That was not hurting nobody. Y'all weren't getting hurt. Y'all didn't even know who the Fearless Fund was because you're not even checking for Black women's resources like
Right.
this. Until she started gaining notoriety and more, it came to his radar, and that's when he sued based on some very small thing, right? So
I wonder if. So here's the thing. I think someone needs to be an advocate for. Should we need to now sue back, because his organization, Students for Fair Admissions, you might as well just say white. And we need to force their hands to say white, because that's what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
You mean you don't want students of color in these spaces. Just say that. Stop pretending that we are discriminated against you after 400 or 500 years of discrimination. You just need to say, I don't want Black students. I don't want students of color, of any color, in these spaces, and be honest.
And be honest to say you feel like they don't deserve it.
Right.
Oh, it's impossible if you didn't just put the race on them, they would have gotten in. Mm-hmm. But you said something, you hit on something, you said equality. They don't want equality. They're saying we want equity. We want everything restored to us that was taken, all the time and the money that we lost over the last 100 years, mm-hmm. that kept us from being on par with you all.
Right.
That's equity. You don't want equity. So when you say, so I did some digging and I was like, well, what is his argument? Mm-hmm. The argument, he's making the argument that, let's see if I can find it. his argument is that race-based preferences are unfair and unconstitutional. His philosophy is grounded in the idea that applicants should be treated equally without racial preferences. So he's for this meritocracy that's been a lie since the United States was founded, right? Yeah. He asserts that his efforts are aimed at creating a more fair, transparent admissions process where all students are judged equally based on non-racial criteria. You're erasing all of the injustices in this country. When you say that, you're erasing it all.
Well, he doesn't care.
No.
But here's the problem. The flaw in his argument is that he only seems to think that people who are not of color are the only ones who can get into these institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And so in his mind, there is a very, you gave Candice Jackson a spot, and she had a 4.2 GPA and was valedictorian of her high school class, but it was in Jackson, Mississippi. So she can't go to Yale. She can't go to Georgetown because she didn't come.
This is what's confusing me a little bit, because I actually looked at, like, why does he advocate for legacy admissions to be taken off the plate? He wants it to be banned
because he's not a legacy.
But I'm like, that's the argument was made because the same reason, because Asians are disadvantaged with legacy admissions. So are African Americans, technically.
Mm-hmm. But he wants to attack there at some point. If we go a deep dive into his bio, at some point he applied for something, or school or something.
He ran for office. That was the kicker. He ran for office and left. Oh, you talking about before that?
I think that there is something that he thinks that he did not get because somebody's daddy or mama had been to that school or in that program and they made a call. And then over here he didn't get it because somebody of color got it. But he's thinking that they shouldn't have gotten it simply because, or they gave it to them just because they're Black, but not that they were qualified. And he's the only one who understands that you must be fully qualified. But he doesn't see that people of color can be fully qualified, and that the person who might also be a legacy is also fully qualified. He's using those things, and there's something in his past that makes him see that's a class issue and a race issue at that time, and he can't get past those two moments or that particular moment to be able to see what he's doing is wrong. He cannot do it. He cannot see past that, because that is some childhood trauma, and he has lied to himself to say that because they were Black or brown or whatever, or they were legacies, he just can't get past that moment. Sometimes you're not the best one in the room.
No. And nobody's taking anything from you. There's enough room, and I'm not sure of it, but I guarantee you, when all of this stuff started, when affirmative action started happening,
mm-hmm.
they've automatically increased the number of seats in their class, so that the same number of white affluent kids can have the same number of seats. They just opened up a few more for us and just say, oh, we're like,
that's right.
Nobody's losing anything. Nobody's taking anything. Y'all not losing. It's not. It's not a loss.
But that's the thing. He can't see past that. Now, what's going to happen is that these schools are going to, listen, when you're talking about a school that only has 8% students of color, But listen.
You'd have thought we was busting down the doors.
Baby.
We had 59, 60% all of a sudden.
When we talk, okay. So if you have 400 freshmen come into a school and only 5% are students of color.
You said 20? Then I did the math.
20. That 20, as old folks would say, that 20 cheering. That 20 cheering. Okay? So I know these numbers very well. 420. You got 380 slots. You can't get these children an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? The space. You have had 400, 300 years, 200 years of, in the words of the great Cat Williams, who really should close the portal on 2024. White. You can't. I'm sorry, Erin, but you. Where is your call against race-based admissions when it's all white? Where's your call?
Okay. It was okay then.
It was okay then, because you internal. Now let me say this, and I know. I am a revolutionary. I went to an institution that taught me to be a revolutionary in every space I'm in. And I will say this: we deserve to be any and everywhere we want to be. And we will succeed, and we can be, and our children will succeed. But y'all stop. There are HBCUs that will get them anywhere they want to be. Y'all, stop asking. Y'all don't want me there? I don't listen. Old lady said once, I ain't going to heaven if Jesus don't want me there. Y'all stop doing it. Send them.
Send them where they
Send them where they will be loved and cherished and supported and taught well.
And so my thing is, so as we wrap this up, I have a question about like what do you think we can expect?
I think this next frontier will be if they see that the HBCU designation, the MSI designation, they'll attack that.
So that was part of the article, was we're likely to see where he's going to attempt more lawsuits. If once the data comes in, he's going to attempt it. But if I'm not mistaken, not saying there's state institutions that aren't super selective, but generally they are not. They're more, I don't know what that level of it is. He's not, is he going to start suing state institutions too?
Probably. He wants to go. He wants a complete whiteout. And he's doing it the legal way. Now, let me say this, because he's doing it at the time where you have a Supreme Court that is the way it is, right? And we have, and the one person who and Clarence Thomas is no help. Clarence Thomas is no help. That's all I can say. Who, as his own sister said, went to school with a loaf of bread under each arm. You had help. And then, okay, fine, whatever. I'm going to let that go. He's going to come after it. But now this man went to the University of Texas at Austin.
That's what I'm saying. But so, okay, you mentioned something else. You said, if I'm from Mississippi, you said that. When I looked up, okay, which practices is he okay with and which practices are not? One of the race neutral, I'm using quotation marks, race neutral strategies is top 10%. Because, Texas used that top 10% thing. You can have a 4.2, 5.2, 9.9 and be top 11%, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's still like the way you can't get around race in America. He's okay with socioeconomics. The majority, a lot of Black people,
because he was probably not a rich kid. He's a poor kid. And so that part is okay. But I'm gonna get rid of all the rest of y'all. I went to an alumni. I thought at the time, I thought maybe I'll go to Georgetown, the Hoyas, they basketball, all that good stuff. I was a big basketball nerd. I can't play basketball because I'm 5 feet tall. However, I love basketball. So I had my alumni interview.
You keep lying.
I am 5 feet tall. Y'all come in closer. Come in closer. I'm 5 feet tall. It's on my license.
People get fake licenses all the time.
On my license. It's on my license. It's on my passport. I got 5 feet tall. But they were they were very cool. I mean, they were nice people, right? From Georgetown, in this alumni interview.
You sound like very fine people.
Right. And so, but it wasn't until I said, well, yes, ma'am. And my father, is he had his PhD from University of Oklahoma, and he was an environmental scientist. Yes, my mother worked, for da. And it was like, oh.
They clutched their pearls.
Oh, okay. And so I could feel the air change because that was a different economic. They thought, okay, well, we're going to let this, we got this girl on, coming to talk. And, oh, okay, hi, how are you?
Yeah, you didn't have to walk to school in the back roads.
I did not.
They wanted to hear that.
Right. But here's the thing. I went to school. I went to middle school, junior high back then, dead in the hood. I went to predominantly Black schools, and I felt protected. I felt supported, and it was the best decision for my life, right? Mm-hmm. Not just, but I remember what that felt like and how disappointed I was, because at the time, here I am. I have the 4.2. I'm the valedictorian. I could go to Georgetown. I got into Georgetown, NYU. Spelman, of course, my alma mater, Toothless College. And where else did I? Somewhere else. My mama told me you need to stop. You need to stop sending out applications now. She's like, I'm not paying all these fees. But when that happened, I realized where I might be going, because it wasn't until they heard that my father had a degree, and they didn't. I guess he wouldn't, swinging behind a truck or doing whatever, and which would have been fine for me, right? Because that wouldn't have, I knew something was askew in that moment, and it disturbed me. Even at 18, it disturbed me.
Yeah, because they already have a view of you.
Yeah. I mean, so I just, it's so many sides to this coin, right? It's very clear. Just say it's white students for fair admissions, because if this were a man fighting for Black admissions at these Ivy League institutions, whose money and foundational of their endowments was based in the slave trade, then baby, we got a whole nother conversation here. Mm-hmm. And I suggest that people read Ebony and Ivy to talk about how these Ivy League institutions made their money off slavery. So and their complicitness in the slave trade. So we're going to talk about fair admissions. Then you need to be actually arguing for more.
Just give us back what we owe.
Right. Give me what you owe me.
At the very least, leave us alone.
Right. But and so that's very clear. And I think, but I think in the meantime, as we prepare, see what we have to stop doing, I think, in higher ed is waiting for it to happen.
I think that's what's happening.
And we have to start and go, oh, well, they'll never go that low. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. They will go that low.
I hate to be working in enrollment management because who knows when they going appeal, especially state institutions, selective state institution, they're going to appeal for all your admissions records.
So at this point, and our institutions have always been truly inclusive. And up until the civil rights movement, typically run by white scholars and white presidents, right? Up until the civil rights. So, but again, I want MSIs, HBCUs, tribal colleges not to wait until it happens. Prepare yourselves now and fight back now. Preempt the fight back. Because what we have now is the only reason we got to Brown versus the Board of Education in Topeka was because Thurgood Marshall, rest in peace, and his entire team, Motley, the whole team coming out of Howard U, fighting for them to do what you said you were going to do anyway. So if you don't want us in your institutions, then you must build if the university doesn't want a Black student in your law school, then you got to give them, because it's separate plus versus equal. So separate but equal, right? So they fought for separate but equal to get them to understand you can't afford it, but this is the law of the land and this is what you got to do. So now that's how you get to Brown. The road to Brown was not because of the merits of Brown. The road to Brown was fighting them to do what they said they were going to do with Plessy versus, with the Plessy case. So we've got to be proactive, and we have to take a stand against somebody who is clearly he's just racking up victories because we're thinking, well, he's not going to come. He's going to come for us next. He's going to come for HBCUs, the MSIs. And those places must be protected. Those students must be protected. In the meantime, if they don't want your children there, baby, y'all come on home.
Yeah.
Come on home. Because I promise you, we get our students to med school, law school, grad school, all of those things. Just come on home. Whatever they want to be and become, they can come. Just come on home.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way. Because, if we think about as when UT Knoxville didn't care whether or not Tennessee State had enrollment, but as soon as Tennessee State's enrollment went up, they worried about, where the Black students are. You're taking the Black student, and you call somebody in for that.
And that was only about money.
Exactly.
Only about money.
But I've had people go and interview for jobs in Knoxville, and it was not warm. It was not welcoming. So yes, they went to Nashville. Yes, they went to Tennessee State. And now you have a problem with it, but you didn't really want them there. You wanted their money. So as Maya Angelou said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah. Final thoughts about anything?
Oh.
This makes me sick to my stomach.
I know, right?
It really does.
I guess my final thought would be, as we start at the top of the hour, take care of your people. And I'm gonna follow that advice. I'm gonna call my pops today. See how he's doing. But take care of your people. Check on your people. Check on your students. Tell them to go to class, please. Tell them midterms is coming up, and we're actually trying to get midterms done before homecoming. Okay.
Novel idea.
Right. Take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
And if your student if your student is not doing well in a space that is not supportive, we'll be happy to help them. We'll be happy to help them. My alma mater still, is there. But we have 100, and I will say this is my final rant on this. There are only 104 HBCUs at this point. We used to have 107. We used to have more than that. And some of them are trying to come back. And we still provide more foundational degrees, more baccalaureate degrees for doctors and engineers and lawyers than the other 4,000 institutions of higher learning in this country. HBCUs do that.
Yeah.
MSIs do that. And hey, listen, we need to be everywhere. But if they are not feeling supported, if they're not feeling that in that moment, save yourself and save them. Because if they're going to continue to fold against this and not fight this and say why these students are valuable to us and we don't care what you say and what you do, we're going to fight it. Y'all come on home.
Yeah.
The door is always open. Come on home.
Yeah.
That's my rant for today.
This, I don't, only thing I've stated before, this makes me sick to my stomach. Even just reading it, it makes my blood boil. It takes me back to the feeling of trying to get through the 1619 project and just my soul can't take it. I probably got to the second chapter. Yeah. I'm going to finish it, right? I'm going to finish it. Mm-hmm. But this is just, I'm actually grateful I don't formally work at an institution where this is happening, especially enrollment management, that you got to watch your back to make sure you're not breaking any federal laws, or you got to figure out all of this workaround to try to do right. I just hope this dies down.
It's not
Can't say what I'm really, really thinking, but he needs to go somewhere.
It's not going to, and I think that's the whole point. We have to be proactive. We have to decide that we're not going back, because the fight against this is not that far removed from the fight against reproductive rights. Yeah. Because what we're trying to do is go back, and we don't want to go back. And listen, it is what it is. But if we continue to just wait and see, we gonna see. Mm-hmm. We're gonna be the ones to find out, because we know what's coming. You see it down the pike. They want he particularly, whatever childhood trauma he's living in, an adult trauma, whatever that is, he's rallying his troops, and you got one man who has done all of this.
Yeah. And he's looking for the right case to push the boundary.
That's right. So even the designation of HBCU is under attack even before it's under attack. Mm-hmm. And not that, if they apply, they're gonna get in. But again, just wait on it. Y'all keep waiting on it. It's going to happen. It's gonna happen. So, let's get it together.
Yeah. Well, in our next upcoming episodes, we may do one just pop culture. Okay. But I do want to hop into, I saw the headline yesterday that President Biden and Vice President Harris did an investment. I think they announced it was a lot of money, $17 billion.
I think so.
It's an HBCU investment. Another number 17 million is too low.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Let me see.
So yeah, we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna talk about how in all of these numbers.
Yeah, not 17 is like 1.3.
Okay, million.
Okay, so wait a minute. What Biden? No, it was 4 hours ago. It says 17 billion to HBCUs. There are two reports. They're adding an additional 1.3. Okay.
Oh, see how headline.
Let me give you
1.3 billion.
Yeah, let me give you the stats. According to White House officials, HBCUs enroll twice as many Pell Grant eligible low and middle income students as non-HBCU institutions, producing a significant percentage of Black professionals in critical fields. 40% of engineers, 50% of teachers, 70% of doctors and dentists, and 80% of the judges.
Yep.
Y'all keep sending them over there. Y'all keep going over there. Keep on. The White House said this.
Well, the conversation
that's the country in me. White House said this.
we gotta be ready for the influx. We gotta do better, but that's a conversation for next time. Another topic we'll be exploring in the next 2 podcasts will be what's happening with the enrollment of our Black men. They're decreased everywhere.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that. And also, I mean, every week we're gonna have some news about Diddy. So
oh my Lord.
We'll talk about that, and we'll also talk about an audio sex tape that happened.
That's gonna be fun.
And a bright idea that just came up. We're gonna plan for a live stream podcast where all of our listeners can join in and comment.
Yes.
Join the conversation, but it's going to be allegedly higher after dark. But we're going to talk about some things, and hopefully some good things will happen around that time. So we'll have some good topics. So as always, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of these things, share it with other people. We need all of that. And we are so grateful for everybody who takes the time to listen on all of the platforms. So until next time, y'all, stay up. If you are working in higher ed, we support you and encourage you.
Yes.
Yeah. Give yourself grace. Take care of yourself. And join us back here next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. This episode was sponsored by Holistic Higher Ed Solutions, committed to enhancing student success. From coaching to planning, our practitioners empower institutions. Ready to transform? Visit holisticheredsolutions.com and let's revolutionize higher ed together. Be sure to subscribe, review, and join us next time.